Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today we're diving headfirst into the emotional core of this incredibly powerful short film called Mouna Raaga. We're not going to waste any time on fluff today. We're jumping right into a story that honestly redefines what it means to be strong. We're talking about a journey through the harsh daily grind, profound, life-altering trauma, and this just unbreakable bond between a mother and her son. It's a narrative that somehow manages to use complete silence to speak so much louder than words ever could. So let's get into it.
I want you to just listen to these heartbreaking words from a young boy named Rag. He says, "My mom, Geeta, she is my hero, but daddy did a bad thing." Wow. Instantly, we're completely hooked, right? This one little line totally sets up the central mystery for this whole explainer. Who is Geeta? Why is she her son's absolute hero? And most importantly, what exactly is this bad thing that's casting such a massive shadow over their lives?
Section 1. The Anchor. The Daily Grind. Look, to really understand the depth behind Raag's words, we've got to ground ourselves in Geeta's current reality first.
Geeta navigates this incredibly chaotic, demanding world as a food delivery executive. And man, on one hand, you have the ridiculous daily indignities she has to face. You've got customers shouting at her because a 2-minute dosa is taking 2 hours. People just casually throwing around insults telling her to stop draining Geeta. It's a totally thankless job, right? It's filled to the brim with severe impatience and just outright rudeness. But, and this is what's so brilliant about her character, look at the total opposite side of that equation. Despite all the noise, the complaints, the sheer exhaustion, she pulls off something remarkable. She gets that hard-earned professional validation.
Geeta, madam, you are Employee of the Month. Now you might be thinking, okay, it's just a corporate pat on the back. But for Geeta, this achievement is absolutely monumental. It's concrete proof of her incredible resilience. I mean, she's operating in these grueling, stressful daily circumstances, constantly rushing around, constantly apologizing for stuff she has literally zero control over. Yet she performs with such excellence that her workplace actually has to acknowledge her. She doesn't just survive her daily grind, she straight up conquers it.
Section 2. The Shadow. A voice silenced by trauma. As she's smiling about this huge achievement, there's a really profound silence surrounding her. We need to look into her past to understand exactly why this dedicated mom is navigating her chaotic world without speaking a word.
We can trace this tragedy right down the timeline. It starts with terrifying domestic abuse from her ex-husband, Sundar. We hear the whispered, gossipy questions in the aftermath, what'd she do to her hand? But the abuse wasn't just physical, it completely altered her life. Moving into the medical aftermath, the doctors noted the wound was too deep, which really just highlights the sheer severity of the violence she had to endure. Eventually, thankfully, this leads to legal action, ending with divorce has been granted. But the really tragic consequence of all this is what we see at the end. Because of the abuse, Geeta permanently lost her voice. Like her son says later on, Mom can't speak and sing.
And guys, this brings us to the really profound irony here, and actually the title of the film itself, Mouna Raaga, which translates to silent melody. Geeta wasn't just an average person who lost her ability to speak. She was a former singer. Her voice, her literal instrument and passion, was stolen from her by physical trauma. But even with that crushing tragedy, she meets it with this incredible counterforce. She now expresses her love, her song, and her resilience through this quiet, unyielding determination to just provide for her kid. Her actions, they've basically become her melody.
Section 3. The Drive. The Gulab Jamun Promise. So what actually fuels all that determination? Amidst all the dark trauma of the past and the exhausting reality of the present, there's one simple, sweet symbol tying it all together.
And this is the promise. It's just a simple gulab jamun sweet, but I'm telling you, it carries the weight of the whole world for her. Here are the exact stakes for her day. She absolutely has to be at the school function by 3:30 sharp to watch Raag perform his very first song, and she must bring him his favorite gulab jamun. Now, think about it. For a delivery driver whose entire schedule is at the mercy of traffic and hungry people, a hard 3:30 deadline, that is a massive, massive challenge. Let's just walk through the crazy mounting tension of her afternoon. First, that clock is just aggressively ticking down to the 3:30 p.m. deadline. Then, out of nowhere, disaster strikes. A customer's delivery parcel gets damaged. In her line of work, that's not a minor hiccup. That is a major crisis. So, she's forced to literally race to India's sweet house to desperately grab her replacement, totally eating into her precious time. And finally, she actually makes it to the school performance, but only after fighting tooth and nail through these insane obstacles that almost completely derailed the most important promise she ever made to her son.
And right in the middle of this chaotic dash, we see exactly how the damaged parcel situation goes down. It's met with just a basic plea for human decency. Mistakes happen all the time. Please accept our apologies. You don't need to react so rudely. This right here perfectly captures the constant, exhausting demands for patience she has to have. Geeta literally has to swallow her own massive panic about missing her son's play just to deal with the harshness of a rude customer.
Section 4. The climax. An emotional tribute. All of this tension, the rushing, the endless apologizing, the heavy weight of her trauma, it all finally collides right here at the school function.
She makes it. Against all odds, she's there. And when Raaga from UKG gets up on that stage, he delivers this devastating, beautiful speech. He doesn't just get up and sing, he confidently declares his mom the world's best singer. And then, with just unbelievable bravery for a little kid, he reveals his father's bad actions, right there to the audience. He openly explains why his mom can't speak anymore, totally shattering the silence around their domestic trauma in a public forum. Raaga gets it. He profoundly, deeply understands his mother's sacrifice. He knows exactly what she lost, and he sees exactly what she gives him every single day.
And then he drops this line. My first performance is for you, Emma. I love you so much. I mean, the raw emotional power of this moment is just overwhelming. Raaga is stepping up, finding his own voice, and dedicating his very first song to his hero, the singer who literally lost her voice. It's this beautiful moment of pure, unconditional love that makes every single awful hardship Geeta dealt with that day and in her entire past absolutely worth it.
And to beautifully tie the whole shebang together, we get this quote. That's my gulab jamun. At your service, madam. Think about how this contrasts Raaga's powerful vocal speech with Geeta's quiet resolution. She hands over the promise suite. That phrase, at your service, which she normally has to use in her exhausting, thankless job, is so beautifully repurposed here. It now represents her ultimate maternal devotion. She is at his service, totally driven by love.
Section 5. The Power of Resilience. The way this film masterfully weaves all these intense themes together is just phenomenal.
So let's look at the core takeaways here, the real thematic pillars of Geeta's life. We're talking about finding real dignity in the daily labor grind, even when people are disrespecting you left and right. It's about overcoming this incredibly dark shadow of domestic trauma and physical loss. It's relying on the completely unbreakable strength of the mother-son bond. And ultimately, it's about the sheer willpower it takes to fulfill a promise against all odds. All these pieces come together to transform what could have been a simple story about a delivery driver in traffic into this epic, deeply moving tale of human survival.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final, provocative thought to chew on. How does Geeta's silent resilience challenge our everyday understanding of strength, dignity, and unconditional love in the face of profound adversity? Because, in a world that almost always measures strength by how loudly we can shout, Geeta shows us that sometimes the absolutely most powerful melodies are entirely silent. They're played out through our actions, the promises we keep, and enduring love. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Really think on this one, and I'll catch you next time.